Hi, this is Sana from Ready and Thriving, and today we're talking about emergency kits for your car and making one that's just right for you, your lifestyle, the people that are around you, and the things that might actually happen so that you can be prepared for those situations. Maybe historically, a lot of emergency kits for cars had some screwdrivers, maybe jumper cables, the equipment that you need to change a tire, which, certainly there's nothing wrong with those things, but really we are out and about in our cars. Things happen while we're out. We need to make sure that we're visible if we get stuck, that we're able to help any kind of medical thing that might happen. And what about where it is that we are? Our car is usually our best resource for getting things to someone quickly. You go to sporting events with your children, and having something in the car where you could actually kind of quickly help and aid them would be very valuable. So thinking about the emergency kit for your car as something a little bit more modern and really suiting your needs. And that's what we're going to go through today. So we'll go through a 4-point plan. The first one is really assessing and planning for your own risk. So I'll take you through some things to think about, what is relevant for you, so that you can make sure to have the things that will really be relevant and important for you to keep on hand. Second, we'll actually check and see what you already have. There are kind of nooks and crannies within the car, and you may be surprised by what you already have. Especially like in the EU, there are certain legal regulations that say that you have to have certain things within the car, so you may already have them in there, put in there by the vehicle manufacturer. So let's check on that, and hopefully you'll find some good things, or you may find some more gaps that you're a little surprised about. So step 3 is then filling those gaps. So the things that you have assessed, this is what I need, let's go ahead and build that kit. I've got some shortcuts for you, and we'll go through that section. And then number 4 is you've done kind of all the heavy lifting for yourself, thought about it now. Why not share that and help others with their preparation? Hopefully, your loved ones will never need to use an emergency kit, but if they do, what a gift. So number 4 is just kind of spreading your thinking and helping those around you. So let's get started. Okay, so I've moved to my breakfast table, and if you have the opportunity to sit down and actually take some notes thinking about your own situation, that would be ideal. If not, don't worry. Down below, if you're watching on YouTube, there are in the notes some of the key things to think about, and then some of the key resources to actually get what you need from that. Or even better, go to the full blog at readyandthriving.com on the emergency preparedness page. That has all the checklists you need, all the resources, free apps that I'll be recommending, etc., all listed there. So now let's really think about your personal situation and what are the things that you should put in your car emergency kit. So I think there are 5 things to think about. The first 2 are the most obvious. The car breaking down, what are the things you need for that? An accident that might happen, car accident, and what is it that you need there? So we'll go through those items, but then we'll go through 3 more that are perhaps less obvious but really important. Number 3, a weather emergency. Now this includes that you may be out and all of a sudden something happens, a tornado warning comes up, or an instant kind of blizzard that you didn't know about, but also it's about where you drive and the vulnerabilities of such. So, if you even live in a very sunny area, but you go up skiing every now and then let's make sure that you are prepared for those situations. The 4th is thinking about an emergency that happens when you're out. Something happens to your child or in the community around you, and your car is really your best resource for really rapid response. So let's have the things that you'll want to have in that situation. And finally, number 5, we'll really think about what are the things that you do also uniquely that may provide unusual risks that you should prepare for. So do you take your kids to organized sports? You know, do you go out walking in the park or hiking or going to dog parks, things like that? You know, what are the things that are important to you to specifically have? Also think about your broader community. So we think about the fires that happen in California or Australia, and people were just out and about and didn't realize they were going to have to flee and not actually come back to their homes for days. You know, social unrest. Are there things like this where you might need to make a kind of a quick decision and do something? So it's worth really thinking it through and seeing what you might need in those cases. Now we'll go through all 5 of those. So a car breakdown, an accident, a weather emergency, a minor emergency while you're out of someone in the community, and then a real crisis situation that makes you think about what you might need that's unusual to your community. So now thinking about a breakdown, it could be caused by any number of things. Now, of course, if you know that your car is prone to certain things, then make sure you've got the fix handy for whatever it is that ails your vehicle. But for most of us, we'll just be out there and something may happen. I don't know, we hit a rock, something unexpected happens, and then we are broken down. Of course, get to the side of the road and get, you know, as clear of traffic as you can. In all those cases, you still need to make sure to be seen and to be safe and to have someone who's going to come and help you. So first thing, call for help. So have your phone with you. And that's true for all of these situations. And to just make sure that you're always ready, have a charger that plugs into your car so that you can always have a full battery for your phone. And also, if you don't have that capability, then carry one of those reserve battery powers so that you can battery up your phone and people can come and find you. So beyond the phone, you want to be seen. And that means your car, first of all, to be seen so it does not get hit. And then also yourself. And you may be in a number of different situations where it's safer to be in the car or out, but you want to be seen either way. So for cars, of course, we have the flashing lights, which is great. You start there. However, having used those, it is surprisingly short amount of time before it really uses up your battery. And then the lights stop working and or you aren't able to even turn on the car anymore because the battery is gone. So think about having an auxiliary way, and I like flares. So here, these are battery powered flares that do it's really great flashing. You can set them outside the car if you really need to block off traffic like you would in road signs, or they actually come with little hooks too that you could hang to your car or something like that just to really be seen. There's also a flashlight type of thing on the front, which is useful for all sorts of reasons. The other thing is to be visible yourself. So really do get a visibility vest of some sort. So here's one that's just like high visibility fabric, really easy and lightweight to be able to keep in the car, and that way you're visible. And of course think about, you know, who else is likely to be in the car so that everyone has one. It is important, obviously, if you're out fixing the car, the person who goes out needs to be very seen and safe. But often it's actually safer for you also to get out of the car, depending on what the situation is. So your whole family, you need to leave and go and stand somewhere else. So we do want to have high visibility for everyone in there, including pets. Number 2, think about an accident. We don't like to think about that, but let's prepare so that we can, you know, really have the best outcome from that situation. So again, the first thing is to get help. So the same rules apply there. You also want to be able to be seen and be safe. So again, the same rules of the car breakdown apply there. But in addition, right, we're going to think about, either someone in our car or someone else's or someone else in the community might need some really quick medical attention. And particularly, not just like a Band-Aid because they had a boo-boo, right? That can be handled later. Like real medical attention where you may want to stop the bleeding or something like this. So a really good first aid kit that has things for CPR, that has compression bandages, that has, that kind of next layer of first aid equipment. So of course, get first aid training if you can, but there are also really great apps that are free and you can just get them from the Red Cross. So I will put down in the YouTube notes and also in the full blog on readyandthriving.com the apps that I recommend. And there are great apps for first aid from the Red Cross, also for pet first aid, for kid first aid, etc. So that insurance card and then also any kind of reporting. So many countries in Europe, so in Switzerland, for example, there's like a little blue card, one pager that you fill out for any accident and all participants sign it. So just be prepared for those things. Number 3, which is the weather emergency. So weather is, of course, something that can just come in, tornado watch all of a sudden, and you're in high winds and stuck. Or it could be that you are driving in an unfamiliar area and all of a sudden you're in a situation that is a dangerous one. So as a personal story, when I was about 12, my mother was driving us home in rural Nevada over a mountain range. And the weather was a little bit cold, but when we set off, it seemed fine. By the time we got halfway up the mountain, the roads had become extremely icy and it was snowing and an ice storm was starting. The road became extremely slick and we almost went over the cliff edge. And my mother was very heroic and saved myself and my brother by getting us pulled back over and onto the other side. But then that meant that we were actually stuck on a mountain, not able to drive forward because it was too dangerous, and also not able to go back. We knew also that no one else was coming. So we knew that we would be there for a very long time. And it was surprising as well, just how cold it got, how fast. So think about the places that you may drive, because you may live in an area that I need to be careful for snow, ice, hurricanes, severe fires or rains or things like this. But you may also just be out driving. So what are some of the places that you go? What are some of the weather conditions that you might encounter because you go skiing, because you have family in a distant area, etc. What you're going to need to do in a weather situation is to know that you might be stranded for a while, because when a weather situation happens, normally you're not the only one who needs some help at that time. So even if you're able to call out, get help, you're probably going to join a queue. So for example, I was in a bus in the French mountains, just out for a day trip, and we got stuck in a snowdrift, but the rescue team did not come for hours and hours. We didn't actually get rescued until dawn the next day. And that was really just that they couldn't get up there because the weather was difficult, and also that there were so many other emergencies that had to be tended to. A side note about that story, all those people, and we found out that the driver had not prepared appropriately. It really turned into a bit of a Lord of the Flies situation. It was not good. Maybe stranded for a while. Some situations for a number of hours, some situations perhaps for up to a couple of days or a few days. So think about making sure that you can be safe and sound during that time. Also may need to actually brave that weather, right? You may need to go out and check something or move something. So having like a poncho and also, things to warm you, very important. And since you might be out there for a while, you're also going to need to prep to really be able to survive that. Anytime you're around snow, obviously you need to keep warm. right? So really having a blanket in the car makes all the difference. Of course, emergency blankets are great with, you know, the silver blankets that really will keep you warm. But also think about throwing in other blankets and enough so each person can have their own. And that they really are multifunctional. So this one is great for picnics and stuff too. It's kind of weighted around the edge. So make sure you've got things like gloves if you don't normally have them with you. It could also be really heavy rain. So, you know, a lot of emergency kits have just a small rain poncho, an umbrella, which can also serve you in the sun as well. So it can work as a parasol if you're in a situation that's very, very hot. Silver sleeping bag, if you will, keeps you extra special and warm, and maybe even hand warmers and things like that, particularly if you are going into cold air. First aid kit, and we talked about having that already. You may need to scrape ice off of the windshield and or take snow off. You're going to want to have a lantern of some sort. This one is particularly nice because it also has a charger. So this means you can charge this actual lantern right from the car, but importantly, you could also charge your phone from this. So there's a battery in here that you can charge your phone. So, you know, get something like this that will provide the light that you need, that provides security, a feeling of togetherness and safety, and also the ability to do something enriching. You know, you probably don't want to wear down your battery because this does become such a critical device when you're trying to figure out, you know, how long is this going to last and that sort of thing. So, you know, try to have enriching activities that you could do to really kind of keep the calm and also to pass the time. That sense that, okay, we're prepared, we're going to make it through this, is really important as well. So when you're stranded, think about those kind of, you know, softer skills or the things that will bring comfort and provide that kind of sense of security and something to do during all those hours that you have to stay. So prepare to thrive as well as just survive. So now let's talk about number 4 in the planning, and that's an urgency that may come up just while you're out and about. So you're doing your regular grocery shopping or you know, headed around town or out to work or something like that, and you're out in the community. Now something could happen to you where, you know, you get a cut or you trip or something like this and you just want to do some first aid, or something could happen with the people that are around you. And so this is one area to kind of think about. Are there things that you do regularly that you should get some special things to take care of? So does someone you care about and drive around have an allergy? So they might need an EpiPen or something like this. Do you have seniors or maybe someone who is you know, more vulnerable from a health standpoint? Maybe you want to have an even stronger type of kit that has like CPR ability or, you know, something more serious. Or even medications. So perhaps, you know, heart medication or anything that they may have. So, you know, think about those types of things. The other loved one to think about are your pets. Particularly if you're going to dog parks or taking them out walking or something like this. They could come in contact with other dogs. They might get a bite, a scratch, or if it's like my dog, she's always sticking her nose into little burrows of who knows what type of animal. So, so we want to be prepared to take care of them as well. So I have another video and more resources about a pet emergency kit. They'll really take you through that. But if you are driving your pets around quite a lot, would recommend getting that, and particularly thinking about one that has like blood clotting, in addition to some things that just, you know, help to stabilize their wounds or even just take care of things right there and then so they don't have to go to the vet. Think about your own situation. Pets, community members, family members, maybe people that you drive here and there. Are there things you should add for them? So the last stage of planning, step 5, is thinking about your own activities and what might happen when you are out and about and doing those things, crises and urgencies that may come up. So I want you to personally think about what are the things you do. So for example, I like boating, and you can see we've got a little life preserver on my dog, so I go boating with the dog. So that means I need to think about pet and then also things that are related to it. So not while I'm on the boat, but once we come back, then I know, for example, the harbor that I often go into often floods around there during high tide and can be actually cut off from the mainland. So I, again, could be stranded out for a while, so food, water, very important. So what about your activities? You know, do you have children that do sporting activities? Do you do sporting activities? Those are things that, you know, you may have certain types of injuries that you'll want to just have at hand, right? So it's not that it might be a real crisis moment, but to be able to take care of it right then and there would be great. So certainly for kids, you know, even just having those plasters, those Band-Aids handy, you know, and kiss the boo-boo, that can also soothe the situation. But even something more serious, if you know that you're prone to knee injuries or things like this, it may be a good idea for you personally to keep a knee brace in the car. Activities that you might do, and maybe it's not every weekend, right? But you love to hike, you like to camp, you like to go up into the mountains, or, you know, go water skiing or things like this. You know, what are those things? And then actually plan a kit that will help you in those situations, because really in your car is the way that you get there, have everything you need. So I particularly love to have a particular hiking kit, which is great just when you go out walking, because you don't even know. I was walking in Griffith Park, which is in Los Angeles, and just on a very busy trail, but came across a rattlesnake. You don't really ever know if you might, you know, okay, need a snake bite kit, right? So having those types of things around you can be really helpful. I'll actually show you in the notes below, and also a picture of what's a really great hiking kit, because it can attach to your belt or backpack, really super simple, but also is very well organized, so it's good for anyone. It actually tells you where the CPR, you know, gear is for a snake bite, to, you know, stop bleeding. It actually, you know, lays it out for you, so in a crisis you don't have to be thinking about what do I need. Jot down anything now about the activities that you do that you may, you know, need. One new addition as well that I want you to think about is actually where you live and what are things that may happen. Because thinking about the fires that have been happening so commonly in California, in Australia, thinking about some of the social unrest that's been happening and continues to happen around the world, you know, are there vulnerabilities or things in your area that you may just want to prepare for? And maybe not, you don't need that, but it's worth thinking about now. Could you use something where you actually have a jump bag? And a jump bag is basically something that has like 72 hours, so 3 days worth of things that you need, so clothes and toiletries and things like that, just so that you can have it with you and when you need to jump, right? So when you need to go and get out of a situation. Case in point, when I lived in London, there was a fire in my building, and I wasn't at home at the time, so I was called to come home and of course get her, because the fire brigade had saved her from the building, which was, you know, thank you. But also we then waited around to see, you know, would we be able to go back into our homes? And it turned out that we were not, and we were not able to go back for months. So the fire brigade did let us go inside, and they, you know, protected us when we went inside, just to grab a few things to be able to go. Now, given that it was such a stressful thing that was happening, I made really, you know, weird and random choices about the things that I grabbed, and missed a lot of things that I wish I would have. So I did not grab, toys for her or food for her, more importantly. But I did grab myself Doritos and a bunch of blue clothing and brown shoes. And all work clothes. And no weekend attire or anything. So very strange items, just the stress of it. So really having something prepared can be really smart, and you could leave that at home, of course, but think about having it perhaps also in your car, because you could be out and about, and then that's when you hear about the fires, for example, and then you can just go. Either way, you're probably going to get into your car should you need to go. So that could be helpful, but think about if it's right for you or not. Okay, so step 2. Now we want to check and see what we have. And I actually say, let's go look at the car because the manufacturer may have already put some things in there. So let's check that out. Come with me, if you will, and check it out live yourself. Grab your car keys and let's go look. Opened up that trunk. And I've done that because the manufacturer would have nicely already probably added some things, particularly if you are living in the EU where there are certain mandatory regulations for what's in there. You may actually have some good kit in there. So now this is a standard car, pretty luxury car, so you'd think, oh, maybe there's lots in here. What we'll look is in the trunk. Underneath is often where you will find lots of little goodies that the manufacturer would have put in there. So there is actually a nice storage box that they've given. That's kind of handy. I also see that they've given me a net, which can be handy as well for keeping things stable. Okay, but not emergency kit. These things say, this is not a toy. So, well, what are they? So if you find things like this, you don't know what they are, now's your chance. Check them out, see what you've already got. These are actually high visibility vests. So we talked about in an emergency be seen. I've already got the vests. So let's keep looking. What else is in here? We also have a first aid kit. Hey, that sounds great, right? We want to have a first aid kit. It's not huge. So let's check to see what's inside. It's mostly plastic adhesive strips and large ones, gauze pads, etc. So lots of different plasters, Band-Aids. We do have also one emergency blanket. So that's helpful to stay warm, but only for one person. And normally those blankets aren't huge, so we may want to make sure to have more of those. First aid instruction booklet, scissors, and some tape. So those would be useful for, securing an injury and some things like that. But there are definitely some things that I'd like to have in addition. So now we've seen what we have actually in the car. Now let's go back inside, compare that to what I want, and see how we fill those gaps in the best way. Okay, so you've checked to see what you have. And now it's really about filling the gaps. So let's just really quickly review what are the things that we think are really important. Remember, you want to be seen and be safe. You want to have rapid access to medical care that will either stabilize a situation or take care of some smaller things. You want to be able to be prepared for 3 full days, and that means food and water for that time, and enough to really survive during that time. Also items that help you thrive during that time. So what types of things will be personally enriching? Because remember, so much about an emergency is actually waiting around and also dealing with these new things that come. So things that are comforting or things that are entertaining to kind of take your mind off of things. Thinking about preparing not only for yourself, of course, but those who might be around with you, maybe people in your household or your pets. So planning smartly for your own risks or your own things that you do. Sport, were there, unique items that you want to just make sure to have handy? Are you going to events where there are lots of children, lots of seniors, or just a lot of community members where you might want to have a nice preparation kit so you can just handle things as they come. Are there special people around you that might need special devices or medications? And if you're doing a lot with pets, they do get into some mischief from time to time, or also, you know, they're impacted by any emergency like we are. So, you know, having things for them. Hiking, camping, skiing, things like this, and then prepare now for those as well. You know, even if it is that you're just, you know, regularly take walks around Arboretum, it could be helpful to have a little first aid kit that's portable, but that is really easy to use, you know, to really keep yourself in top form. And then finally, thinking about the situation in a broader sense of, you know, is your area prone to hurricanes or fires or other things where you may actually have to leave the area? And that could be today also social unrest. So think about, do you need some sort of jump bag? Because that's actually something really easy to put together. You know, just imagine that you're going away for a 3-day weekend, staying at a hotel. And so you have everything for that. It really is that you just need a bag. You put 3 days of clothes, toiletries, medications, all those types of things that you'd want to have. You may want to throw in a little extra water or something like that, but the main thing is that you have those types of items with you, and it could really come in handy should the need arise. And then I also want you to think about apps. I think this is a really important area. And it's something you can get. There are so many great apps just for free. They're put out by great organizations like the Red Cross and certain government organizations. Downloaded now so that you can already have them ready and in your phone should the need arise. And one final thing too about your phone. Most phones have a little health app that came with your phone. And what you may not know is that that's actually your emergency contact card. You know, these days we often don't actually carry a physical card like we did in the old days that said, in emergency, please contact this person. These are the medications I'm on. You know, this is what you should know, etc. But you have that in your phone so that anyone can grab your phone and swipe it and they can see the emergency information. And it's just really basic. So it does have just your contact, your emergency contact person, and also anything that any medical worker would need to know. So are you on any medications? Do you have any allergies? That sort of thing. So very important to have that filled in. And normally, so just look for that health app and fill that in. And then you'll have that emergency information in your phone and ready just in case. We hope you don't need to use any of those things. But hopefully, you know, it will be reassuring to also know that all of that is done. So filling those gaps. Just a few notes about that now. So I have made the full list that I just went through, and they're in the notes below for YouTube or in the full blog at readyandthriving.com about the car emergency kit. So you can use that as your checklist. I hope that's helpful. I've also provided some links of some of the kits that I personally have bought. Or that I have bought for my father for his needs, and that I have seen thoroughly, and that those are the ones that I would recommend. So feel free to click on those and see if those could help, because a lot of those bundles are great because they already have things like you know, the poncho and all those emergency blankets and things like that. And then all you have to do is add the soothing things like, you know, the familiar blankets, toys for children, dogs, etc. And also the unique things that you may want to add, like the sporting activity items and medications and things like that. So hopefully that's helpful. Those links, they are affiliate links, so I get a really tiny commission. So, you know, get whatever it is that you really need. That's the most important thing. But if you do buy from one of those links, thank you very much. I appreciate that. So now that leads us really to the end. I hope this has been useful. The fourth part was to help others to prep. And you've done the time here, listened to this video, been making the notes, figuring out what it is that you want to do, and that's really great work. And we always hope that all of these things actually never get used, but when they do, my gosh, what a relief they are. And if they were gifted to you from someone else, again, what a gift. I know that lantern that I showed you about the emergency weather that also has the plug, that was a gift from my father, and it's really great when you turn on that light and you go, okay, now I can be relaxed in this emergency situation. So do think about providing that support to others. Are there certain types of kits or something that you may want to just give to someone who hasn't yet done that kind of preparation? And then that's the end of the 4-point plan, assessing your own risk, checking out what you already have, filling those gaps, and then spreading the preparedness to other loved ones. Thank you so much for sticking with me, and I hope this was really useful. Please do leave comments about things that you've learned that you want to share with others, about what has been really meaningful for you for emergency preparedness, and particularly around the car. And because as these things evolve, we want to make sure to be prepared for anything that comes. So thanks again. I'm Sana from Ready and Thriving, and good luck out there. Hopefully you'll never have to use this, but you are prepared now, and you can be confident that you'll be able to be ready for anything.